Welcome to the PharmaSource podcast, recorded on stage at CDMO Live Europe 2026 in Rotterdam. This episode is sponsored by PharmaBlock, a fully integrated CRDMO providing research, development and manufacturing services from early discovery to commercial production. 2 years into life as an independent company, Sandoz found itself managing a supplier network of 470 in a world that's fundamentally changed around it. So I'm very pleased to see we've got Maik Talarczyk, Head of External Supply at Sandoz, to talk about his case study, exactly what they've done and how they did it.
Maik Talarczyk, my name. I'm I'm head of PMO in Sandoz in one part of the strategy team of the Sandoz technical operations. I cannot agree more what Bernard just said about optimization and so on and so on. I will show you the 150 slides I prepared you over the last 2 years of my life. I led the transformation. I hope you bear with me the next 3 hours. Unfortunately, I have just 20 minutes. So I pulled it to 3 slides, main slides, to bring you a little bit about the journey, how we did it, what we learned, and what you could learn out of it, okay? And I think Luke, make it ready. I have some additional information that I will not show, but it will be then showed in the on the SharePoint when it will be there. So I shared a little bit what Bernard talked about, how you want to identify out of your portfolio the poor stuff, yeah, the shitty stuff, you know. And I was at the boat trip and I said I will open my speeches. The fan is always on, and the shit is anyway flying always. Yeah, so it's unavoidable. Okay, so I will guide you through. So a little bit about Sandoz. I don't know if you know, we have a triple anniversary this year. So we are already 20 years in biosimilars. Biosimilars, everybody talks about new stuff. We are in 20 years already in biosimilars, in development and launched the first biosimilar drug in 20 years ago. We are in penicillin. We have our site in Kundl. I talked about this last night as well. 80 years of antibiotics in our site in Kundl, yeah, and 140 years of heritage. So quite huge stuff, you know. We are providing 1,300 medicines worldwide, right? Over 100 nationalities in our company with over 20,000 people, yeah? But what is amazing is that we always cannot forget, Sandoz is a pure generic company, right? And if you think about a pure generic company, we have a huge impact in the social community because we make drugs accessible for many people who maybe cannot access it on the price level of an originator drug. So that's why we see as an impact, and we have an estimated social impact of 300 billion. Huh? So huge stuff. We have already also, when you see here the slide, is 30% biosimilars already growing. We have a huge biosimilars pipeline. We call it the golden decade is coming. So a lot of stuff going out of patent. So that's what we see. And we are highly investing in that. We are co-development. We have big partnerships. We bought just a site in Toulouse, Avantec, and we have big partnerships announced like Samsung just recently. Okay, so I will not bother you more with the numbers. There are a lot of stuff we see here. We are developing and we are targeting a market of 200 billion in biosimilars. And similarly, you cannot forget, a lot of small molecules are also important in the next years. So don't think biosimilars is all. There are 200 billion of market that's coming for small molecules into generics in the future, okay? Don't forget that. So Sandoz is advancing with a strong momentum, okay? So let me get you now to the key slide. Sorry, I'm rushing, okay? So what you see here on this slide, I'm very sorry, it's very full, but okay, 150 slides in one slide, you can see what happens. So I will guide you through what happens in 2024 when we started in 2023 to think about it, right? We spinned off and then we said, okay, well, how we want to do it, what we want to do first. Okay, then we built a global strategy team. I had the pleasure to lead the team. And what we did is we looked first, what went wrong in the past that we couldn't get rid of? And Bernard was saying it. It's beautiful that you come up from technical operations and said, guys, I want to prune that all, right? So how we go from 500 suppliers to 250? We prune it. Technical operations, come on, we prune it and then it's gone. As Bernard said, then the tricky thing is there are people who sells that stuff in country organizations, and then over the blue, 95% of your ideas are blown away very fast. So what we did is, and what was key, and we said, okay, first we said what is the what and why we want to do it. Okay, that is, you need to be very clear what you want to do. What is the next step? Combine ComOps with TechOps. Don't work in silos. Try to be one team, because you can just be successful with a global transformation if you sit together with commercial and you find an alignment and you find an understanding. Because the problem is, the country organization in Spain, France, or Nordics, they don't understand what is your pain. They understand their top-line sales, they understand their margin, they understand their target and objectives. They don't see what happens in technical operations, yeah? Because for them, the expectation is the drug has to be there in time when they want to sell it. That's it. That's their objective. And to maximize the benefit for the patients, and to have essential drugs always available, and so on, right? So come together as one team. And it's very simple, right? It thinks, normal. No, it's not normal. In big pharma was not normal. They didn't talk to each other. So what we did first, we started talking to each other. What had a big benefit? And then we started to look and brought visibility. We said, okay, these are 500 suppliers. These are our internal sites. We included also our internal sites. This is our portfolio of 2,000 product families. So what we do about it? Let's look into it. Let's see the numbers behind. Let's see the tail end. Let's define tail end. Let's define threshold, and so on and so on. And then we established an annual process, and we said, okay, who leads this? Is it commercial or is it tech ops? What do you think? Who should lead this kind of annual process? So we decided that commercial has to lead it, because actually, if they lead it and they know our targets as well, and we have common targets, this is a much better approach and a much stronger approach, because you are much more stronger if you have a global commercial organization behind your idea to bring also country organizations on the top of the things, and agree and start agreeing with country organizations and talk the same language. Okay, guys? And that was important. What we see also then, what happened is a lot of internal discussions, and we could maximize our portfolio optimization and cleansing first. First step, optimization, cleansing. Then after this, we came to 2025, we said, okay, let's stabilize that in a solid process. And then we said, okay, how we want to do that, the next step. Okay, next step is what left over and what is the long-term portfolio. Let's see now coming to analyze consolidation. Analyze consolidation, how to really balance out internal site utilization, what was also happening, right? Let's see how we can optimize internal site optimization and utilization, and also external supply, how we can harmonize as much as possible, you know, and look into, 12 penicillin, 12 paracetamol suppliers. Do we really need 12 paracetamol suppliers? Not sure, right? Do you need ibuprofen? 12 suppliers as well. So do you need that? I'm not so sure. But okay, then we started a six-step approach. I will come to this in a second. And we started after this, we started also to look into the consolidation, harmonization of product portfolio at supplier level and CMO level, okay? Then, of course, now that 24, it was leading us to 21% of reduction of suppliers and internal also, okay? Then for the portfolio. Then second cycle in 2025 led us to another 13% on the top of supplier reduction availability. And we are targeting today, and of course, as Bernhard said, the bar is of course shrinking. Why? Because as far you're advancing in your transformation, more difficult it is to consolidate one supply, right? So low-hanging fruits, easy to go, then it's getting much more into deep things and stronger decision making, right? Good. Saying that, we are now in the execution, and that you cannot forget. Making decision is one thing. Track execution is the other thing. So you can make a lot of things in the paper. If you don't ensure that it happens, you have a problem. Okay? So ensure that it happens. That is one advice on my side. So then, of course, now we have an in-market agreement, we have an optimization done, and data quality screening, execution, excellence, everything that is coming now. We are looking more into data-driven things, establish a little bit more artificial intelligence into this kind of processes. So you have an early warning signal, and you have also common opportunities, okay? So let's bring you a little bit more into the 6-step machines I talked here. So what we did is, and bear with me, this is really an example. What we did is, we looked into the 6-step, first of all. When you start, you don't start, let's consolidate externally. Let's first look into our internal site optimization, because this is bringing you other advantages, of course. That's what that you always start. And every big pharma does that, you know. If they tell you other, I'm not so sure. So what we did is, of course, you also here is to make a solid evaluation and assessment. What you need is to start to look into all the steps that may ensure that you have a solid business case and that you considered everything in the end. So you look into, do you have the capabilities? Do you have capacities? Yeah? Do you have the regulatory affairs structure to do so? Do a regulatory affairs structure. Do you have a contract in place that prevents you maybe to insource or to consolidate later on? Yeah? How is your structure here? You have to consider this. You need a solid financial evaluation. Doesn't make sense if you evaluate a whole portfolio and then in the end the business case is negative. You spend months of assessments, evaluation, and in the end, top management said, "Thank you very much, we don't do it." Yeah, so sure. Then you need to talk to commercial. Commercial needs to agree. If commercial doesn't agree, you're failing. So have everybody in the boat, and if you have that, then you are ready for making a solid decision together. And the success rate of this decision is much higher than just jumping over the steps and not doing it. And after this, you also, and that called make versus buy decisions, right? So this was the make versus buy. We did now the make versus buy decision. After that, we are, of course, in parallel, we also really looked into the supplier consolidation evaluation. We looked, what threshold makes sense? And to talk about Bernhard and Philip talked about Thailand. What makes sense to really look at? Do you look at 100,000 spent a year for a transfer, tech transfer? What cost? About 150 to 200,000 if you're lucky, okay? Depending on the product, of course, and all the costs. It starts, a cheap one is 150,000, okay? So that's the overall total cost. And then where you put your threshold. So put your threshold in place, look into this, then you look into also paracetamol. You have 12 sites, look into harmonization opportunities. Do you have harmonization opportunities? Why you have 12? what are the formulations behind, and so on, etc., etc. And you look, and then also, if everything goes right, consolidation case is positive, fantastic, I love it, then we go forward for network consolidation. Or, one point is no, then, again, we said, we have a certain portfolio, we are not sure this is a sustainable portfolio for the long-term future. Also, our supplier says, guys, we have 1,000 packs with you here, why you want to do this with us? It's just adding complexity to us again. So, why we cannot do something about it? Okay, or you take it away, or you give us more. This is always the discussion, right, with CMOs. Or you take it away, because in one certain point of time, with the maturity of a product, we reach a level that is also not making a lot of sense for our suppliers, for CMOs, and we are also constantly talking about that, right? So here's also, talk to them, see how you can consolidate, how you can balance it out to make it better. And if nothing works, always look again into pruning or divestment. Yeah? And we added divestment on it. The first thing is always, let's prune. It's also, I think, there are certain benefits also for certain products that are not attractive for our long-term objectives of the company, but they are very attractive for other partners that maybe wants to continue selling that drug in the market, in the specific market. So this is a divestment, is you can also then consolidate certain business with new suppliers or with certain suppliers existing, just having another owner, okay? And continue creating value and impact for the patients, okay? So this is a little bit how we did it, yeah? Everybody does it a little bit different, but I think Bernhard will agree, it's more or less how it works, right? I'm not sure it's Bernhard in the room still, but okay. Then I wanted to give you the last minutes I have. I want to tell you the success factor I'm looking at with the team when we look into consolidation. What are the transformation success factors? And what you can take out as CMOs in order to, be more attractive for consolidation, right? So what I wanted to try here is, okay, I look always, the success factor for me was very strong governance, okay? Very strong governance together with commercial, one team, commercial, also involve all relevant departments. We talked about this, don't forget regulatory affairs, because otherwise you're screwed in the end, right? They are in the end, but they will tell you if it works or not, okay? Then, factor in the tech ops complexity and what is really driving and what are the benefits of divesting or pruning a certain portfolio. Okay. Then balance well with top-line objectives. We talked about this. Bernhard also said it. Top line is very important for certain countries. Certain countries are very small. We cannot compare always Germany with other countries like Switzerland. Switzerland, of course, the sales, or let's not compare Switzerland, let's also compare Nordics, whatever. The sales are, or the quantities we have in that markets are much smaller than in Germany, for example. Germany is a huge population, big tender business, huge volumes running through, right? But you cannot compare that with Portugal, yeah, for example. So consider that. Then manage the risks, the geopolitical risks, era risks, or, era is also something. If some new barriers, regulatory affairs barriers, new stuff coming up, consider that in your, we have to consider that, otherwise it's a big impact, yeah? Big, I'm enthusiastic because I still think we have a lot of room for improvement, data quality. When we started this 2 years ago, I had 20 lists from 20 departments, nothing matched. The same product, same dose, everything the same SKU, but completely different information. Which information is true? I even was not sure if it's a license deal or it's CMO business sometimes, guys. That is crazy. And have your data, and that's also something what we triggered, of course, data cleansing, data, get your data in shape. Sorry, I'm running out of time. This is really important. Get your data in shape, and here we have help also. Ison is there, and whoever who can help you also to create you and to create data and data models that helps you also. Here, also focus on a robust your business. Have a robust business case in place. For me, is important, and focus on the strategic partnerships. What is important? I'm sorry that I'm running over time. Yeah. Excellent transfer capabilities is important, guys. If I want to transfer 20 products, it's important I have to trust you guys, and you need to deliver, because otherwise I'm screwed because I'm the manager anyway, and we really have a partnership that is at stake then, right? Because if we don't deliver, we have big problems on the top. Then be easy to work with. Yeah, Philip always says this: be easy to access, be easy to work with. It's really important. And he said we don't transfer to a company, we transfer to people. Yeah, this is important. Yeah, and direct offer additional services. This is important here. Direct shipment, offer regulatory affairs capabilities, offer a retesting. When you are, and we talked about the gentleman from India, from Blue Pharma, right? Blue, yeah, sorry, thank you. And yeah, be ready to also have a retest facility in Europe. So if your drugs enter in Europe, that you already can offer a full package, including e-retest and release. And also have easy connecting your data with, get your data also ready, that we can connect each other through APIs, right? And handle complexity, because what happens now is there is no big fish and no big volumes that you can get. There's the tail ends, there are the small volumes, for us small volumes, sometimes not so small for you, but there are not this ibuprofen, paracetamol anymore. There are some, I have some, but it's the thing is, be ready also to handle your complexity, get ready for smaller volumes, okay? And with this, I want to thank you very much. We have a partnership now, just for you knowing, we just entered also a partnership with Samsung to also accelerate our pipeline and also be in big partnerships like that for the golden decade to come when we talk about biosimilars. This is how we do it. Thank you very much. Question and answer we can skip because we have no time. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here. I hope I could bring you a little bit about how we do it, what we do it, and what we learned the last 3 years. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Round of applause for Maik, please.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was great. Thank you. The fan is always on and the shit is always flying. I think we found the strap line for next year's event. So thank you.